Want to stop juggling spreadsheets, calendars, and a dozen apps just to run your rentals? Logify makes it easy. It's an all-in-one toolkit for hosts. Build a direct booking website, automate guest messaging, and keep all your channels in sync. Running your rental business your way has never been simpler. And for Good Morning Hospitality listeners, you can get 20% off any yearly plan with code GMH20. Just check the link in the show notes to get started today.
Welcome to Good Morning Hospitality, your one-stop shop for the latest news, noteworthy trends, and thought-provoking discussions across the industry. From hotels and short-term rentals to all things travel and hospitality, you'll find each episode equips you with the information that you need to start your week. Join us on Good Morning Hospitality every Monday, wherever you get your podcasts.
Good morning, Michael Golden.
Hello, buddy. How you doing?
Doing good, man. Good to see you.
Where's everybody else?
I don't know. I think Brandy kind of just gave up. I'm just kidding. She's on her European wedding tour still. Last leg. Woohoo!
I know Jamie got stranded with the flight stuff. I wonder if Brandy is also stranded. My next door neighbors are stranded for the next couple of days as well. So it's been an interesting weekend.
Yeah, I was gonna say interesting 8 days at least, from a political scale and the world, and then of course through travel and the industry. So it's very interesting. Brandy, I think, is okay from what she sounded in our group chat last night, saying that she was flying back from Dublin. So it sounds like she's still flying back. It's not like a delayed flyback. But TBD, Brandy, if you're tuning in live, let us know. Are you okay? Are you alive?
and Jamie, did you ever get out? Or are you still up in Maine? Still hanging out up
seriously.
there?
It's just Michael and I now, so it's going to be an interesting show. It's been a while since you and I have done a solo.
I don't think it's been that long, has it?
It's been a minute. It's been a minute. Just because we saw each other in Auburn doesn't mean we haven't, done a solo episode in a while.
All right. That's fair.
Yeah.
Well, what do we have on the docket today? We touched on flights, but man, what a fiasco.
Yeah, this is why I'm not a Microsoft guy. I choose not to use Microsoft for this reason. Just kidding. But I do have the story kind of pulled up. I took some notes. Flight issues were actually caused by an update pushed out by CrowdStrike, which is a cybersecurity firm. So CrowdStrike sent this update to all the corporate clients of Microsoft, which caused this significant outage. So not only was flights delayed or canceled, we had over 10,000 flights delayed. We had over 5,000 flights canceled and many other crazy arrangements. And it's funny because out of the airlines that opened up travel vouchers, which allow you to change your flight without any fees, which is insane, that only 3 of them out of the 7 that were impacted actually allowed that to happen. Crazy stuff. This is like a tangent. This is like a Will rant. I know we normally cover Brandy rants, but my biggest travel rant and like thinking is, or hot take, airlines and rental cars are outdated and need a shakeup. That's just my opinion. Turo for me is not enough of a shakeup for rental car services that suck. I was stuck in Atlanta for an hour and a half trying to get to Auburn with a stupid rental car situation. They suck. They're the worst. And then airlines being a little outdated and a little lack of hospitality. Those are my rants.
My key takeaway. Well, you need to fly Delta.
100%. But Delta still was out. They were out. They had over 3,500 flights.
This wasn't their fault. The takeaway for me is that the consolidation serves a lot of good purposes, but there is some serious risk to consolidation. I've never heard of CrowdStrike before. I'm not a back-end developer by any means, but I typically have heard of a lot of different softwares, and this is one I haven't heard of. And if they're backing everybody, well, they just showed a huge vulnerability now for all of their clients if they were to get hacked. I know they're the anti-hacking company. I know that now. But it is a big problem when everybody works with the same one or two vendors.
Mhm.
And we'll touch on that a little bit later when we get to the OTAs. But anytime consolidation is centered to the top, it causes or can cause some serious problems.
Yeah.
So
If you're tuning in live, which I'm seeing quite a few of you, love your opinions. Share in. One, where are you tuning in from? Two, what are your thoughts? Were you impacted by the delays? Do you know anybody impacted? Cancellation delays, etc. Would love to know. As we got our first comment coming in, Terry White, come on. Rental car companies have been doing this longer than anyone, and rental car companies are the absolute worst companies in our industry. Amen, Terry. I knew I liked you for a reason.
I would argue they're the worst because they have been doing it the longest. And just like why Blockbuster closed because they were not able to change with the times.
These big companies, not rentals, Enterprise and Hertz, they're the biggest ones, right? In my opinion, I think they're the biggest ones in rental cars. And they can't update a credit card at the stand, right? Like all this crazy stuff that just makes no sense. And the willingness to not even care. Like they're just like, yeah, call customer service. I don't care. There's no one on site that can handle anything either. Sorry, I don't mean to go on this tangent. It just happened recently and I haven't been able to vent about it. So this is my vent.
So some of that could be systems in place to prevent like fraud or back charges or things like that.
I don't believe it. Hotels could do the same. Hotels could update credit cards with photo IDs. Rental cars should be able to do the same.
Okay. All right.
So
feisty
it's
Will.
insane. It is.
Well, let's pop across the ocean to a former guest of our show. You want to cover that one, Will?
Yes, sir. So Bob W. We've had Nico, co-founder, CEO, on the show back in October last year when we were at VRMA. Michael wasn't there, but Brandy and I were. And Michael and I got to interview Nico while Brandy was on stage talking about Bob W. They're a multifamily operator in Europe. They're in 29 European cities and they're growing like crazy. It's been really cool to have. But anyways, the story is they partnered with a firm. They're going to invest about 140 million pounds or 120 million pounds into basically unused hotel and corporate office real estate to repurpose in order to turn into urban apartments. So, call it service let apartments in Europe or in UK, but basically doing the same Bob W business model through distressed assets in urban areas, which is great. So 120 million pounds is a lot of capital to deploy.
And you know what it doesn't do? Eat into the housing supply and play into the narrative that short-term rentals are killing your communities. Now, Paris passed a law a long time ago that basically said you can convert anything into a short-term rental and you'll get a license, but except for existing housing units. And so I love this repositioning. I mean, there will be more and more commercial real estate, particularly office space, open and available. Those conversions are not cheap. They're very, very expensive. But that said, they've got 120 million pounds behind them, which they estimate to be about 2,000 more units. This will probably take them 5 more years to roll out. But the PropCo OpCo model is a fantastic one, and it's really no different than what traditional hotels do. Marriott spun out their real estate division, and it's called Host now, and they have their operating and brand company. So not dissimilar at all to how Bob W structured this deal. I think that type of PropCo OpCo partnership is beneficial to everybody. There's not an additional hand to feed or mouth to feed like a traditional short-term rental market might have 150 owners in 140 houses, and this is one neck to squeeze, so they can actually not focus on all the comms and account management of all of the different property owners. But it comes with a little more stress and a little more scrutiny, I'm sure, having kind of one neck to squeeze. Yeah. But huge shout out. I love this approach. I don't know how, quite frankly, how Sonder was never able to pull off something like this, or at least publicly. But that's, that locks in 2,000 future units for them, which is plenty of growth over the next 5 years. So
yeah, the article did mention it was 20 to 25 buildings is what they're expecting to take that capital, the 120 million pounds, and they expect the first building or at least few units hopefully to come online. Sorry, in about 18 months. So this is a great play for longevity for Bob W. In my opinion, I think and I think Nico even mentioned this not only on Good Morning Hospitality, but when I interviewed him on Slick Talk and talking about they're not just here to raise cash, get to IPO or get to acquisition. Like there is a longevity play, and I think this shows a lot more sustainability for the urban operator. So this is really exciting, especially after the graveyard of urban operators we've seen in the past couple of years. So congrats Nico, congrats Bob W. Really excited to see how this plays out.
Yeah, they very well could be the first one that gets gobbled up by a hotel company. I mean, these are hotel assets essentially. It's a multifamily building where it's an office building repositioned as a multifamily building that is essentially a hotel. So I'll go ahead and throw that prediction now. In the next few years, I don't know how many, Bob W will get scooped up by a major flag, possibly Accor. They're huge in Europe. Possibly Hyatt. They've been clamoring for a larger footprint over in Europe. IHG similarly wanting more of a footprint, but it's tough to say it's not going to be the incumbent Marriott with their apartments and rebrand Bob W.
I was just gonna say, Nico told us he wanted to come to the U.S. and expand this way, and it's perfect brand and perfect inventory for Marriott's apartment product. So it's gonna be fun to watch.
Well, we touched earlier on how consolidation is great in many facets, but it's a big risk. Focus Wire put out an article about Amazon because it was Prime Day last week, or Prime Days, and kind of teased the fact that could Amazon get into travel? I think they tried it 10 to 15 years ago, but they tried it twice a long time ago. And the article goes through a lot of industry voices who say travel is way too complex for Amazon. But I'm sorry, it's not. Those people are wrong. There is no inventory sitting on shelves. There is no logistics. There is no packaging. There is no, it is far easier to, theoretically, easier to move units of blank empty hotel rooms than it is to get a package from point A to point B in 2 days that costs, like, where shipping is free, right? That's nuts. The whole premise of Amazon, when you boil it down, and you're as old as I am, it's wild to think, like, I remember ordering something and just expecting it to take 2 or 3 weeks. And that was just kind of what happened when you ordered stuff online. And that's why people still went into stores. But anyway, a lot of people think Amazon could and should start out with kind of the Costco fully bundled packages. That's totally fine. It makes sense too. But I also, there's no reason how or why Amazon cannot be a competitor to Expedia or Booking on flights, on hotel rooms, on cruises. Will, thoughts?
I think I agree with you. I don't see this being an issue. I don't think Amazon is the player to underestimate when it comes to venturing into a new category. I will say, to the comments of inventory management and logistics, the only thing I could see there being an issue with Amazon not being a traditional travel player and getting into travel is there is a kind of comment, and I don't fully agree with this comment in the article, but there's a comment about how it's basically the technology landscape behind the scenes, old legacy software with new age apps trying to play together. Currently, we see that being fine. Now, my one thing with Amazon and inventory management is its accuracy or speed to have the updated inventory for sale on flights or rooms, etc. Because if they don't have a traditional GDS where they can actually pull through this type of digital or non-physical inventory until the moment of occupancy, then that's going to be their issue. They're going to have to combat how they're pulling their inventory at a faster rate than probably most people, just because they don't have the traditional infrastructure behind the scenes. So that's my only thing thinking.
Amazon
again,
they have more servers than anybody on earth. It's
it's not the servers, it's getting the technology actually implemented correctly. No matter what the company's scale size is, it's always about proper implementation.
Sure. And I think there's some very easy mechanisms. Your favorite word, a channel manager, can make life really easy on. They make life really easy on any new entrant into the travel distribution or OTA market. So there's no reason why they can't do it. There's also no reason why Facebook/Instagram can't do it. We've talked on the show a lot about how I think Instagram needs to become an OTA, and alternatively, why we think Airbnb is going to become a social media platform. We know that travel, an Expedia stat from a month or two back, 80% of travel is inspired by social media. People learn about places they want to go. They research it. They scan through photos. They see what other people are doing, all because of social media. And so the fact that Facebook/Instagram isn't transacting in travel yet, I would probably venture to guess they would move to that faster than Amazon. But there's no reason why Amazon can't do it either.
Well, like I said, I wasn't disagreeing with you. That's going to be their struggle, though. It's going to actually make sure that they are able to keep up with this type of inventory and actually have a technology backend that can, manage everything properly instead of, like you said, units on a shelf. It's units on a screen, basically, until there's a bum in seat or there's a head in bed. So, anyways, that's my thinking. But you know what? It's perfect segue for this is that why can't your amenities be automated? Just like why can't Airbnb become a social media platform, or why can't Amazon become a travel OTA? Do you know why, Michael? I don't know why. Because we have Sojo.
They can be.
Exactly. Well, we have Sojo as a great partner of the show. They're great partners of many vacation rental operators all over the world. Actually, all over the US. Sorry, I shouldn't overextend our reach with Sojo yet. They're not in Europe, but TBD, one day could be you. They're amazing operators in the US. They actually co-brand with Sojo amenities. They have tech-enabled automation, so you don't have to manually make sure that your guests are getting soaps and shampoos and other pantry amenities are actually perfectly taken care of, because your housekeeping team, whether it's in-house or a contractor or whatever, gets the amenities automatically shipped to their door in order for your guests' arrival. So get sojo.com/GMH is where you'll get 30 days for free, and they'll take great care of you. If you have, I think, over 25 units, you can get some co-branded amenities with them, have your brand be the hero, so that way you're not depending on the OTAs. Michael, back to you.
It's tough to follow up, Will.
Yeah, it's getting hard. It's getting harder to do those, though. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like they're all kind of blending together. Trying to do something different.
Segue in from story to story. You've nailed it the past couple months. One topic that we discussed last week was the fact that there is no industry credit card, and I think we failed to mention two things. One, maybe I mentioned it. Marriott does have a credit card, and you can use those points towards short-term rentals. But that's only for the subset that is using Marriott currently. If you're not, you probably should be. We believe Marriott's a great partner and think that that's going to be a great channel for a lot of people if they're not already on it. But we were fact checked live, and we missed a news article last week that showed that OneKey Expedia's loyalty has a brand new credit card partnered with Wells Fargo. So there are two different, there's OneKey Plus and there's OneKey regular. They have different perks. They cost kind of the different in a flat rate per year. But we now have an industry credit card that can be used for short-term rentals. It's a little bit different than having kind of a brand loyalty with a singular provider, but this might just be what it takes to crack into loyalty in the short-term rental world. And honestly, it's probably better too, because having loyalty just in short-term rentals, people take 1 or 2 trips a year to go stay in a Verbo by the sea, right? They might do 1 beach trip and 1 ski trip. And so that's tough to build up loyalty over time. But if that person is also a business traveler and they're booking their flights on Expedia and they're booking their hotels on Expedia, now they can rack up those points. They can also rack up, credit card points that can be transacted into OneKey dollars or whatever their nomenclature is, and then transacted similar to how Marriott does with their loyal brand points and transacted into stays for short-term rentals. So sorry we missed it last week. We're not going to miss it 2 weeks in a row. I love this. I do think it's a very specific travel card. And if you travel a lot, there's no reason not to jump on this bandwagon.
Exactly. I agree with your statement that if this was just a vacation rental card or like rewards program, I probably wouldn't be incentivized to use it. But the fact that I can kind of go throughout the Expedia inventory of flights, hotels, and then hotels.com as well, I think it adds a lot of variety to it. So you can kind of pick when you want to use the OneKey cash or gain points on this and that. It is in partnership with Wells Fargo and MasterCard. I don't know why. Don't ask me why, actually. I'm just not the biggest MasterCard guy. I'm a Visa fan myself. Maybe Costco ruined that for me because they only take Visa. But yeah, I don't know. I like Visa. But this one's interesting. And I want, like Michael, I wish we kind of talked about this before, because I was reading some posts on LinkedIn and people were kind of curious in the vacation rental world, like who's covering this cost of OneKey cash for people like the vacation rental property managers. And I saw a post, and even Tim Rosolio commented on it, saying that they self-fund the cash, like the cash or the OneKey cash, but apparently the cash can only be applied to Verbo bookings when Verbo is the merchant of record. So if you are the merchant of record, apparently travelers can't apply the OneKey cash to you or to your booking. I would love to be fact check on that. So Tim, if you're listening, let me know. If not, but that's just something I saw in a post that you commented on. So just putting it out
makes
there.
sense. It makes sense why they would need to be the merchant of record. They're the ones handling the transaction and actually paying it out. So probably a benefit to using them as a merchant of record if you aren't already. I know there's some states where that gets challenging with trust accounting and whatnot, but
yeah,
overall, I'm going to be very fascinated to kind of track this story and see the uptick of it. We know that it's a huge, huge line item of profit for Delta, for Hilton, for Marriott, but can Expedia do that being brand agnostic? And I don't see why not. We also talked about all the independent hotels that kind of get left behind on the loyalty programs. And I can't remember who, but we were also told about a cool company called Stash that is basically independent hotel loyalty. But this is kind of the trump card.
Yeah,
this is kind of the trump card. Expedia has big brands. They also have the independent boutiques. They have short-term rentals in cities, in destination markets all over the world. So I'm a big fan of this one. I've been kicking around, should I get this card myself? So stay tuned.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
No, it's yeah, sounds cool. Should be interesting. Again, gonna be a lot of I don't know, because like I would love to see the comparison, or not even the comparison, because I doubt that there really is much. But with Marriott's, Bonvoy loyalty, 200 million members, to then Expedia's OneKey, I think those, like, obviously every hotel has, you have the Hyatt and all the Hilton and all those other reward programs as well. I don't think those are really comparable. I don't think they're like, you have Marriott for sure at the top. I would put OneKey at second, and I would love to see their conversion of loyalty members that actually book higher ADRs, more frequency, like all the stuff. I would love to see how this distribution and loyalty plays out together on separate fields. One being a just totally dedicated brand for those type of members versus one, like you said, Michael, is very wide branded, from Expedia to hotels.com, Vrbo. There's so many things in between. So it's going to be pretty interesting.
Yeah. And I think this is the launching point for Expedia. I would venture to guess there's going to be more and more perks with the big brands rolled out over time, where Marriott or Hilton or Hyatt do offer a late checkout or whatever, like they do with Amex.
Yeah.
So TBD. Let's stay on top of the story. Maybe we can get some Expedia representatives sharing some stats in the next couple months with uptick in adoption and even redemption too. But I generally agree with you that Marriott's going to be the big incumbent in the loyalty space. They obviously already are. But the traveler is enjoying the more experiential travel, the more independent and boutique type of stays over time on the hotel side. But similarly, Marriott's buying more and more brands that identify with that culture. So
yeah,
it's a very rapidly moving, changing space in hospitality, and we're here for it. I love it.
Yeah,
gives us a lot to talk about.
And the independent hotel one that you were mentioning, Michael, I just pulled up the post from last week, and Paul Manzi commented, it's Stash Hotel Rewards. They're trying to own the independent hotel space for loyalty points and creating programs. So shout out to Stash Hotel Rewards for finding a problem and trying to create a solution.
I'll solve it.
Yeah.
Nice baby. Cool. Well, Brandy, Jamie, we hope you guys get home without too much more controversy. I know Jamie's probably dealt with it more than Brandy thus far, but and to all those traveling this week. So it's, I guess, of all weeks for it to be, it's not a holiday. It's kind of midsummer, so there's not a whole lot of business travel, relatively speaking. But it's still a headache nonetheless, and thousands of flights canceled.
Yeah,
is a disaster for airports.
Last Thursday was the third highest reported travel day on TSA record, and that was a Thursday. So imagine
in the middle of summer. That is very unexpected.
Third
travel's
highest.
Back, baby. Travel's back.
It's back. It's back, dude. We're here. We're
Nice.
totally killing it. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. It was like 2.95 million travelers. So
wow,
interesting to see. I think the highest was a little bit over 3.7 from early holidays. So anyways, that being said, Mr. Golden, it's a pleasure to see you. Anything fun this week? Just for the listeners, you never really give us any juice, so it's always kind of like, is he gonna say, oh no,
no juice,
grindstone, hit it,
same old,
gosh,
grinding away.
Gosh dang it. I don't know why I ask him anymore, guys. It's just we try here. All right, well, Golden, it's good to see you. Beautiful Monday. For all of our listeners, check out Good Morning Hospitality Europe tomorrow, 8 a.m. Central European time. And then, of course, amazing hotel crew, Steve Turks, Sarah Danishi, coming back on Wednesday. Like and subscribe wherever you get your show. We love the support. Also, subscribe to our newsletter. Really helps, and it's back up and live and running after a couple months of not. So welcome back, Kelsey, from maternity leave. All right. Anyways, see you guys next week. I know I take way too long, but see you guys. Later.
Want to stop juggling spreadsheets, calendars, and a dozen apps just to run your rentals? Logify makes it easy. It's an all-in-one toolkit for hosts. Build a direct booking website, automate guest messaging, and keep all your channels in sync. Running your rental business your way has never been simpler. And for Good Morning Hospitality listeners, you can get 20% off any yearly plan with code GMH20. Just check the link in the show notes to get started today.